Hello there guys, Professor Deck here, and today I'll be going through my deck list for Kalamask OTK. I played this in No Response and Space Cup 3, and I ended up getting 3rd place in Space Cup 3, which is a pretty good achievement. Not the best because it's not 2nd place or 1st place, but it was pretty good. This is not the best deck list. I'll go through why as I go through the deck list, but yeah. Let's just start off. So first of all, we're running the planet card Gaios. Gaios allows you to kill a Gaios creature on your field, and search your deck for a Gaios creature with the same amount of stars. So this allows you to thin out your deck a little bit, and your Gauss creatures are actually really resourceful, so this ends up being a really good card. Next, let's go through the combo itself. So we're running 2 copies of Kalamask, 2 copies of Bernard, 2 copies of Galactigauntlet, and 2 copies of Upside Down Realm. So this is the combo, and if you're unfamiliar, the combo works like this. So you play down Bernard first, and then you play down Kalamask, and then you play Galactigauntlet and Upside Down Realm. And once your opponent sees these 4 cards, plus a way to wipe out their board or something like that, or something of that sort, it's basically game over. There's no way to respond to this. So first of all, Bernard basically means your opponent can't respond at all. So that's because activators are the only way you can affect your opponent's turn. So Bernard allows stops your opponent from doing anything. Kalamask is the main contributor to this combo. So Kalamask's ability is that it can kill an attachment card by losing 100 power. But because of Upside Down Realm, it actually adds power instead. And Galactigauntlet, whenever Galactigauntlet is killed, it will be sent to another creature, so the target will be Bernard. Then Galactigauntlet sends back to Kalamask, and basically it goes back and forth until Kalamask has unlimited power and can attack your opponent for game. So yeah, that's the main combo. And we're gonna be running 2 copies of each card. This is actually because we have a lot of we have a few cards that will possibly discard them, and plus it's a lot faster if you run 2 copies of each card to draw into. So yeah, it's a lot better than trying to draw just 1 card. And another thing is that permanent resources as of this moment aren't searchable at all. So yeah, this is mostly why we run 2 copies of each card. So this deck tries to draw your entire deck as fast as possible. So we're gonna run creature cards like Burrabug Battara, Thorngabork, and Gluuh. So Gluuh is an interesting one, but we'll cover that when we get to the resources. But with Gaia's ability, you can actually play a Gluuh to search for Thorngabork, then play the Thorngabork, and when your opponent attacks it, you get to draw a card. So this is a little combo that you could do, or you could play Thorngabork, and if you just don't want it there, or you think your opponent's gonna play a card that's gonna get around Thorngabork, then you could just kill it with Gaia's ability, search for a Gluuh, keep the Gluuh in your hand, very important, and then next turn you can play Gluuh to search for Thorngabork, and this will thin out your deck really well. It's basically a draw a Gaia's creature card, so yeah. However, do note that Gaia's ability can only be used once, which is why I say you have to do it in the next turn. These 2 cards are pretty good and a really good combo in general. I will put Gluuh here to cover in the resources later. As for Burrabug Battara, When it's discarded, you get a draw one card, and I'll cover that later as well. So let's take a look at the resources. So obviously 2 copies of Phantasmal Spoons. It's one of the best draw cards in the deck. I will warn, however, there is a little bit of a caveat. When you play Phantasmal Spoons, you can't perform your combo the turn you play it. This is because Phantasmal Spoons has the cost of not being able to play more than 1 creature during that turn. So if you play Phantasmal Spoons, you can't play Bernard and Kalamask. So yeah, you have to be really careful with Phantasmal Spoons. If you're trying to OTK that turn, I don't recommend even looking at this card at all. So yeah, Phantasmal Spoons forces you to wait 1 additional turn. Next is 2 copies of Mystical Relic Rainbow Quill. Rainbow Quill causes you to discard 1 card from your hand and discard another randomly, and you get to draw 2 cards. This allows you to sort of cycle through your deck a lot faster, because drawing 2 cards is really OP in Chaos Galaxy actually. And the fact is, because you're discarding cards from your hand, you actually can combo with Battara pretty well. So if you randomly discard Battara, or you choose Battara to be discarded, this will allow you to draw 3 cards, or if you're so lucky that you can randomly choose one and then you just choose another Battara, you draw 4 cards. So that's there is a really good overpowered combo with this. One thing that you should take note, however, is that you can randomly discard one of your combo pieces. So do watch out if you're using Rainbow Quill. If you have already discarded one of them, I would recommend not using this card at all. I'll just put it here. Next is 2 copies of Cosmic Treasure. This actually combos with Mystical Relic Rainbow Quill really well. Rainbow Quill causes you to go -1 because you use Rainbow Quill. Of course, this doesn't happen if you have Battara. But you'll actually have less cards in your hand because of this, allowing you to use Cosmic Treasure. And yeah, this basically allows you to draw a lot of cards. But this is mainly if it happens in turn 1. Either ways, in the late game, you'll tend to find yourself having quite little cards actually not really late game, more of mid game. You'll find yourself with pretty little cards in your hand because you're like throwing down a lot of cards. So you can probably use Cosmic Treasure. There are a lot of times when I could use Cosmic Treasure and I just really hoped I drew into it. So this card is just really good. Next is 1 copy of 5-star Fossil. I do think there are better cards than this. This card does search for a Kalamask, but I think there are a lot better card draw cards out there that could probably replace this. Next, we run 2 copies of Helpful Belt, another searcher card. This allows you to search for Galactigauntlet and another attachment that I'll cover later. Next, 2 copies of Star Path. Like I said, drawing cards in Chaos Galaxy is really good. Even if you're paying 4 stars for it, it's still really, really good. With Star Path, if you have about 20 stars, you can potentially draw 5 cards. However, what I tend to do with Star Path is either leave 4 stars or 8 stars, depending on how many combo cards I have in my hand. So if I have like 3, maybe I use 8 stars with for Star Path to draw into 2 cards to try to get the last combo piece. So Star Path is a really decision making card, because there were times when I Star Pathed too much, and although I had the combo in my hand, I couldn't perform it in 2 turns. So this card could actually cost you the game, so very important to make a good decision during the given moment. So yeah, it's a really it's something that you'll feel in the deck. So yeah, Next is some Stargate cards. So Stargate cards in this deck allow you to FTK, and at the same time, because of like cards like Starpath, and cards like the Gas creatures, there are times when you're actually low on stars, and you do have to buy zones for the combo. The combo only costs 9 stars, but you still need zones. So yeah, Star Mosaic is probably one of the better Stargate cards. There isn't really anything else. Creature Conjurer only gains you 4-ish. Yeah, that's basically it. Galaxy's Gift only gives you 2. Nothing compares with having Star Mosaic. Star Mosaic can allow you to gain 4 or 5 if you have 5 zones. So one of the better Stargate cards. However, it cannot compare to the amount of Stargate card consuming Cosmic Creator can give. This card combos with Battara as well. And if you have like extra combo pieces or dead cards in your hand, which does actually happen quite a lot, you can use card consuming Cosmic Creator to gain more stars. Next, we're gonna run 1 copy of Time Flash Portal. This is a way to clear your opponent's board, and if it's a card like Shockafly or Cranchan of Polysium, which will cause more creatures to appear on the board, making your OTK slightly more difficult, Time Flash Portal is an option for those matchups. Next, for another one of our permanent resources, we run 1 copy of Goouk. This combos with Gluuh, allowing you to kill your opponent's creatures and draw 2 cards. I only run 1 copy because Goouk and Gluuh don't really appear in your hand that often, especially since this card isn't searchable. So this 2-card combo doesn't happen too often, especially since you're only running 2 copies of Gluuh, and even if you run 2 copies of Goouk, it's really unlikely that you'll perform the combo. Next, we run, for our attachments, we run 2 copies of Blaze Elixir. So with the current meta, you actually tend to realize that your opponent will only have 1 creature, or maybe 2. So Blaze Elixir becomes really powerful in those matchups. So yeah, plus if you're since this deck can sort of first turn kill if you're going second, you have there is a possibility that your opponent just plays a Thorngabork on turn 1, and then you want to play Blaze Elixir, and then you want to clear it, but you can't draw into anything else. But Blaze Elixir is an answer for that. So yeah, we run 2 copies of these. This is just a really good card, and what you can actually do is that you can attach Blaze Elixir to your opponent's creature and use Cosmic Treasure, or Galactigauntlet, your extra Galactigauntlet, and then use Cosmic Treasure. There are a lot of combos in this deck, but I will not cover it. It's something that you really have to discover yourself. If you do want me to cover it though, I can make a video on that, so just comment down below if you want that video. Next is 1 copy of AAA. Honestly, a pretty useless card. I never saw myself using it at all. I feel like I'll most likely put this in the side deck. I mean, in the sideboard. Speaking of sideboard, let's just get through the sideboard really quickly. 2nd copy of AAA, just in case. 2nd copy of Goouk if your opponent has a lot of creatures that you really want to keep killing. This card becomes pretty decent, and it does draw you 2 cards, so pretty good. Time Flash Portal. If your opponent has more than 1 star, like 1 creature that can come back, or some sort of creature that has a you have to kill it twice ability, Time Flash Portal can come in really handy. Now next is a card that I'm actually going to put in the main board, 2 copies of Dark Baro. So Dark Baro is actually a really good card because it actually thins out 2 cards from your deck. This is basically sort of it's just really good. You search your deck for a card, so you remove 1 card, and then you draw a card. So yeah, it's just really good. And yeah, since you're always searching for Battara, you'll draw a card, which is why this card should just say thin 2 cards from your deck. So yeah. I would replace Dark Burrow with Activation, Activate, Activator. And my second card would probably be 5-star Fossil. So these 2 cards should go in sideboard, these 2 in main board. But honestly, I wouldn't use these unless I really had to. And finally, for our last card in the sideboard is Galaxy Crash. Galaxy Crash is a really just in case card. If your opponent for some weird reason has like 4 1-star creatures on their board, which it rarely happens, but just in case, you have one small answer to that. So yeah, that's the deck list. Yeah, there isn't really much else. This is a pretty straightforward deck. What I will say though is that you should always take note of what your opponent is playing. You should usually try to figure out what's the best decision, and that only comes with playing this deck very often. I do know some people that really hate this deck. I will admit that this deck can be really disgusting sometimes, especially when you kill your opponent on like turn 3. But considering the current meta with Polysium and all of the other decks out there, I would say this is pretty decent. It does get countered by Kaleidoscope Warriors. Yeah, that's actually about it. Kaleidoscope Warriors is a really good counter to this deck, which is why you run 2 copies of your combo pieces. And yeah, another thing this deck can actually do is it can get past Whirlpool Jetpack because of Kalamask's ability. You can actually kill your opponent's Whirlpool Jetpack and then start killing your Galactigauntlet. So Whirlpool Jetpack actually is pretty useless against this deck. So yeah, this deck can be countered, which is why draw power is so important, because usually you want to draw so fast that your opponent just doesn't have anything to respond. So yeah. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck list. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Just comment down below, do you think I should have another card in this deck? Do you think there's a second card that should be good in this deck? I do know that Unseen Odysseus deck list had Aplu. I took it out because I feel like it's a pretty bad card. It doesn't really help too much with the combo. And yeah, and let me know if you think Beast of the Black Hole is a good inclusion in this deck. If you haven't noticed already, this deck actually barely runs staple cards. It doesn't run Point Turret, it doesn't run Beast of the Black Hole, and it has Galaxy Crash in the sideboard. So it's one of the really few decks that doesn't play with staples, so which is really interesting. But yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.